It's not about motivation. Winners need discipline. Wake up and win today. Discipline comes from within.
Boxing King Media in association with the Riyadh season. Delighted to be joined by Johnny Nelson out here in Riyadh. Johnny, I understand it's been a while since you've been out here in Saudi. I think, was it Jeddah the last time you was here?
It was 2019. Jeddah. It was flown by. It's not as hot as it was last time, but it's good to be out in this place. It just, the whole energy, the whole vibe, the whole, expectation. What you think it's going to be like change. It's so relaxed here. It's untrue. The buildings here are amazing. It's just, it's nice. It's really nice.
It definitely is. You obviously just flown in. We're here for Anthony Joshua versus Ngannou. I know you was in the room earlier when Ngannou took his top off. I know we was talking about it a few weeks ago about his build. What did you make of it, seeing it in person? The man is like a beast.
Well, you can't go by looks alone, but visually looking at him, I think he's got to be the biggest person AJ has ever boxed. And I don't mean in height. I mean in thickness. I mean in depth. I mean this guy's hands, everything about him is big. His head's big, and he can fight. So nothing's out of proportion. It's not like he's lanky or he's got, long arms, short legs. This guy, everything is in proportion. So AJ's up against somebody that's physically comparable, if not looks physically more superior. And again, looks don't mean everything, but he's up against a man that's the top of his field in his field. So by looks alone, you look at the two, he looks size-wise, it looks day and night.
As you know yourself, size don't win you fights. I'll ask you more for a prediction closer to as fight week comes along. But today I just want to talk about both of them as in their journeys to get to this point. I watched a podcast of Francis where he talked about how he went from Cameroon to France. That journey just sounds mental. And the bit I was most intrigued about was the bit where he went through the Sahara Desert. So I asked him a bit of stuff about that, and he said like they managed to get food, but what they suffered was extreme dehydration. Obviously I know you're big on your fasting, so you got a slight element of knowing what it's like. So what do you think that will kind of build into him as a fighter, a man that's gone through the Sahara Desert in a car, I'm guessing with no aircon, with no water?
So I think us as humans, I think if we're thrown in that kind of environment, you're going to go one or two ways. You're going to survive, and unfortunately Francis has been through it, so he's had to survive and survives to tell us the story. We haven't had to go through it, so what he has done, he's done something what most humans should instinctively do, but he's been through it, so it makes him know, not think, it makes him know he's strong-minded. It makes him know he's capable of going through things that are so diverse most people can't go through them. So knowing and thinking are two different things. So that will make him so mentally strong, it's ridiculous. But again, it's unfair to compare his, because he's been through an experience, to AJ's strength of mind, strength of character, or his experience in comparison to his. Because, as I said, any human you put me in that environment, they're either going to go one way or another. Francis is telling us the story. You look at AJ's story, where he's coming from. It's not just, I always say, it's not just about mental applications, not just about physical applications, about mental application and how you deal with diversity. Some may seem harder than others, but it's how you're dealing with it, and that's how strong your mind is. I think from AJ's point of view, you've got to look at where he is. Look at his rise. Look at before he stepped into boxing at 18. I keep saying at 18. To look at what he's done from the age of 18 to this point in his life. He's done what nearly 99% of fighters only dream of, not just once but twice. And so you've got to think in that short space of time. You've got to give credit where credit's due, and I've always said that prior to this. And he's still learning. But to achieve what he's achieved, that I suppose would be so frustrating by him, because he thinks people are ignoring that, and people do. They forget it. They forget that, and that's why I'd go into the comment of saying, if Ngannou turn him over, I'm not saying they're gonna, it's gonna take over what he's achieved. They won't. People are so fickle, they'll forget where he's come from, the journey he's gone through, what he's achieved. and that's how fickle people can be. So this fight, there's a lot of narrative for both fighters to come through. For Ngannou, he knows how tough his life has been. He knows what he's achieved. He's been the top of his field in his game, in his sport. Now he's stepping over. Anything else is a bonus as far as he's concerned, which is a good thing. For AJ, he's been through it. He's experienced it all. When, you know, Klitschko, you can go for everything. You can almost in prison. You've got the short space of time he's been in this fight game, getting in there with Usyk when people around said, no, you don't do this. He's done things that people wouldn't do if had the choice. And so now so you've got two guys that have been through experiences to get to this point in their life. Now we're going to stick to facts. Common sense should tell you Anthony Joshua should get this job done, because his experience as a fighter, a physically fighting man in the sport of boxing, outweighs Ngannou's experience as a physically fighting man in the sport of boxing. Common sense tells you all that. And the only thing that works against you in that is fate or a sprinkle of luck. You know, and AJ's got to keep his head right. He's got to be able to draw on the experience and think, right, I've got to have discipline, because if I didn't have discipline in my former life, I wouldn't be here today. Ngannou's got to say the same. He knows what he's got to do to get where he wants to go. I think it's a great fight. I think a fighter that we poo-pooed before when he was fighting Tyson Fury has again, he's achieved something where people are actually thinking, you know what, I've got to give this guy credit, because actually he's turned it around. He's now fought himself into a position where pundits that are supposed to know what they're talking about are thinking, shit. Because I look at Ngannou, I'm thinking, this guy can dig, this guy can punch, and it's very hard to get in the water of boxing and not get wet. And that's why I just want to see how AJ reacts when he's hit hard and hurt, if he's hit hard and hurt by Ngannou.
I'm going to just touch on that. You know, you said in closing comments, if he's hit hard and hurt, that kind of leads me on to the bit where, you know, Ngannou was questioning his resilience. And one of the things we've seen with AJ, that shot that Klitschko dropped him with, that was like lights out. If you watch the shot, bang on the chin, you know, as a boxer, could you hit him any cleaner than that? And for him to get up from that and win the fight.
So that's the show of character, because most fighters, especially heavyweights, when they hit, because they're not used to getting hit, they stay hit, they just fall to pieces. There's only very few that actually come through and think, I can do this. I can fight my way out of this. There's only very few fighters that can do it. And so in doing that, I just think you've got to think to yourself, AJ has got the bottle, he's got the experience, he's got the know, he knows what he's got to do. He knows what he has to achieve. He knows that if he's hurt, he's got to dig in deep. The problem is, you know, conditions also give credence to that, because conditions are this. He's financially secure for the rest of his life. He's seeing the raw end of the public, how they can switch on him. So it'd be very easy to him to just ride off into the sunset and say, forget you lot, I don't need your hassle, I'm good. But he's putting himself back in the firing line because that's what he wants to do. That's the fire that's in his belly. That's what he wants. And so when people say, and regardless of what you think I say, when people say fighters have not got the bottle, or fighters don't want it, or fighters haven't got the desire, do you know how hard it is to step up those 4 steps and get in the ring and know the man across the other side of the ring wants to knock your head off? Now, keyboard warriors can say, nah, he should have done this, he should have done that. You get in the ring once you get smashed in the face, reality kicks in. So when people doubt the confidence and belief and courage of fighters, you know, of course you're going to have that torment, that wrestle with fate. How am I going to deal with this? Can I do this? Can I not do this? It's hard. It's testing. But you still get in and put yourself in the firing line. When you don't have to do it, that makes it even better. Neither of these guys have to do it. And Ngannou has made more money than he'll ever thought he would at 37 years old. Anthony Joshua, he's rich to take care of his family, their family after that. These guys do it because they want to do it. These guys do it because they want to put themselves in this situation. These guys do it because they've got fire in the belly.
I think what you just said there, Johnny, kind of shows that just taking them 4 steps is pretty much resilience in itself, isn't it? So it's an interesting argument. We talked about Ngannou's journey to this moment. AJ, I spoke to him earlier and I talked about his journey. And what I find interesting about him is, like, literally 14 years and 1 month ago, he was walking into Hendon Magistrates Court looking at some charges, whatever, some minor offences. But The amount of kids are 18, 17 years old that are walking into court today will probably be thinking, that's it. This is me for...
1 second.
It's all right.
Are we ready now?
Just 3 minutes.
3 minutes and I'm right. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, a lot of people will be walking into... a lot of people in that situation will basically be thinking, this is it for me. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to stay down the path of crime. That's going to be my life. But he made that decision to not make it his life. And he obviously gone and done what he's done in boxing. And, you know, a lot of people argue the fact that he brought pay-per-view back, big stadium fights, all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting that that young 18, 17-year-old made a decision in his life 14 years ago that kind of changed the look of boxing as it is now.
That's an example to set. But Brendan used to take us to prisons and he used to talk to the prisoners about choices, how life could be, shouldn't be and should be. You know, it's about choices. It's about finding someone that's just going to put you on that right path. And it's selfless behaviour, someone that's going to do that for you for nothing else. Fortunately, AJ had his uncle that put him on that path to say, come on, let's do this. He fell on his path in life. And so that's got to inspire anybody and everybody that are at the crossroads of life, to take what looks like an easy short fix solution to put in the work and think, I want to change something here. Not everybody's going to be a world champion. Not everybody's going to end up being a millionaire. But not everybody. You don't have to end up down a bad path. You can make a decision that betters your life, betters you as an individual. So the example set, these are the things that people do forget. So when we're talking about the sport of boxing, that's our job. We criticise, we'll pick and point, but you cannot question someone's path of how they've got to where they are. You know, it's twofold. You know, that path that's not AJ and Ngannou. You can't talk about their path to get here because these guys deserve to be here because that's in them. Nothing trains you to be a fighter apart from life itself. But then once you're in the fight game itself, it's getting everything right at the right time. And so for both AJ and Ngannou, they're in a position that they have put themselves in by choice. And they're still doing this by choice. Some fighters are chasing the dough. Some fighters chase the title. This is not about titles. This is not about dough. Because if it was, they could walk away. This is about legacy. And that's why when I'm making the argument about risk reward, I don't think it's about dough. The dough's, yeah, of course, it's a big part of it. But for the individual fighters, it's more than that. For the individual fighters, there's a lot more than that. You know, the businessmen will say, come on, you wouldn't turn that dough down. Of course they'll say that. Of course they'll think that way. If you've been a fighter and you're at a certain stage in life and you know you're getting in a ring and someone across there can knock you spark out and embarrass you all over the world and you still do it, no businessman, no promoter, no manager, nobody's going to tell me it's about the dough, because you will change your mind quickly. If I put you in a ring with Ngannou and say, go on, off you go, kid, you're getting 25 mil, you will absolutely shit yourself and jump. It's not easy. You've got to be a certain kind of animal to put yourself in the firing line.
Yeah, that's good words. And I just wanted to kind of, because we've got a week to talk about the fight, but I just wanted to kind of talk about their journey to this point, because I think the British media especially don't kind of celebrate fighters' upbringings and how they get to this moment. We kind of concentrate on the negatives. Last thing I want to speak to you about, Johnny, is Dillian Whyte. We've just seen news break that he's been cleared by the Texas Commission to fight. Just want to ask, what do you understand of that? What does that basically mean?
You know what, I actually don't know the depths of it. I've seen the headlines just like you. So on the surface of it, if it has been clean, he's been given the nod to fight again. Does it put him back in the firing line to get in the mix in what's happening over here? I'm quite sure it does. What they're doing out here in Jeddah, it gives any heavyweight that's around the top 10 a chance to make life-changing money, especially if they're looking at a certain stage in your career. Because Dillian's been so close to in touching distance of a world title, he's fallen short. But he's still now a gatekeeper to say, you've got to get past me. I've still got ambitions to be a world champion, and I can make a lot of dough doing it. But I still got ambitions to be a world champion. I live large. He wants to fight. He's a fighting man. That's all he wants to do. So for clearance for Dillian, I don't know enough about the case, although he's been cleared. If the British Boxing Board say he's got to clear it all clear, if they're happy, I'm happy. Then he can get on with his career.
Is there anyone that you'd like to see Dillian fight? Because
Big Ben Miller, of course. I'm quite sure we'll see how Zhang and Parker go on. I can see him in that mix again against Zhang if Zhang wins. There are fights there. There's Dubois. There are fights there as a heavyweight. We've got so much choice in the UK, it's ridiculous.
Good stuff, Johnny. I know your taxi's waiting, so I'm not going to keep any longer. I'll catch you later in the week. I'll see you soon.
See you later. Let's do some sheesh.
I got a question for you. Where can discipline take you? Discipline points you toward your goals.